Instagram акаунта вижда, той са YouTube акаунта вижда ли работи. Би трябвало, но...
Радвам се, че поне никой няма добре.
Ще им го има записано после, тъй че мога да те гледа, да се гледаш в YouTube.
Не се надявай.
Ще бъде известен.
Ще бъде изключен за Кирчо.
Петя, нали знаеш, ще ни карат после на тренировката да се гледаме и да си...
Да, това ще
Крито ще му убия.
Okay. Welcome to the second round, ACS Open 2025. My name is Boris, I'll be your chair, and here is with me Kalyan. He's going to be judging in this room as well. Okay, so without further ado, let's start this debate. First speaker, all opening government, here he Also, before your speech, please say your name.
Okay. My name is Samo.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, for you always, Boris.
Само да видим дали има звук.
Я сега да видим дали има звук.
Няма лошо, чакай да си довършим импактите, то му се дай ми химикал.
Не, без звук.
Сега си чете манифестото.
Давай, довърши.
Ма той ще си го чете.
Okay, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Okay. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, I'm not going to dwell on the pros and cons of social media itself and these qualities that this act will pass, but we will talk about what realistically will happen if this act is passed. Backlash. People are going to get mad. That their favorite social media has been essentially made unusable. There will be several actors that will strengthen that dissatisfaction and turn it into something that increases social chaos, that increases distrust in government, and it results in a bunch of other bad impacts. Okay, so several reasons why the backlash will happen specifically. Okay, first of all, let's examine what will happen to social media specifically. People won't really be able to follow new accounts simply because the only way for them to discover a new creator will be to literally type their username in the search bar of the social media, because they will never see content from someone they do not follow. That makes it much more boring to do, and that means it will have an extremely limited feed, simply because the only thing that will appear in your feed will be the pictures and videos, etc., and text that people who you follow post in the last let's say in the span of the last several days or weeks, which is necessarily limited content, simply because of 100 or so people are not capable of generating that much content. Okay. Secondly, people will find the new algorithm to be boring simply because they have stopped this positive reinforcement, which means that the things that they will watch will all be very similar in nature, simply because the things that the creators they follow post will be pretty similar. Like someone who posts and specifies in something, for example, AI, for example, you will only really receive AI posts, and at some point you will stop caring that much. Okay, so people will generally be dissatisfied with the way that social media works. That's the seed that this discontent will rise from. Thirdly, people will obviously make the connection between their algorithms worsening and their feed worsening and this act that is being passed, simply because it will be in the news cycle, it will be something big. It's the first ever regulation on social media that regulates the content that is posted on it. And how it works. It obviously will be all over the news, and everyone will try to find some connection between this act and how what they watch has changed, and how what they do is more boring now. Okay, Fourthly, there will be general principled opposition to this. We don't try to prove a principle. We won't try to prove a principle here, but we believe that realistically there are many groups who care about free speech who care about free speech and the freedom to post and for businesses to conduct themselves in social media however they like, which means there will be some sort of motivated opposition for that. Fifthly, corporations will obviously want to ban content simply because their business model is destroyed. What does that mean? They will try to give more oxygen to the fire, which means that realistically a corporation will want to at least covertly organize protests or give money to groups that oppose it or increase the intensity of backlash simply because they will really want to have this act go away so they can go back to their profits, simply because, as we already proved, people are likely to spend less time in social media. People are likely to spend less time on social media if this act is passed, which means that their business model will be threatened. Okay, how will that backlash look exactly, and why is it problematic? Firstly, wait. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Firstly, there will be an organized movement against the government. There could be petitions or there could be protests. I know it sounds ridiculous, like a protest for TikTok brain rot, but we really think it can be the case simply because it's something that directly affects the life of some of the people who are affected by this act. So they do not have to imagine an out group being affected by the effects of this act. They are the ones that are directly implicated by the effect of this policy. Secondly, as we already said, the corporations, the social media companies will have the incentive of strengthening this thing. Look, for example, what happened with TikTok and when TikTok was tried to be banned. TikTok made everything in its power both to negotiate with the government to avoid this, but also to promote grassroots discontent with the fact that to increase grassroots discontent with the fact that it is banned and to make it look like a losing issue. Trump only really unbanned TikTok because he saw what gains he made with young voters, and he didn't want to threaten them by banning something about which they care about. So realistically, what is going to happen is that corporations and such will mount the pressure to do so. Okay, but what are the impacts of this? First of all, less trust in government and institutions, simply because they have done something to which the majority of people, as we proved and as my second speaker will elaborate on, something the majority of people oppose, something the majority of people will be negatively affected by their own perception by this, which means that they are more likely to dislike the government as a whole. Secondly, this just means that more chaos in politics simply means the creation of this issue as an issue of discourse means that less time is dedicated to more important matters, simply because a larger amount of the public space that is preserved for talking about various issues will be used on this, which means that other policies may be ignored. Okay, and third, which is basically a second argument, which my second speaker will elaborate on, the social media itself will be worse. It will be unusable. That makes people unhappy. That makes people bored. That is not good. That is a very direct impact, which he will elaborate later on in the speech. Oh god damn it! I can't take your life. Okay. Thank you.
Please take your eyes, ask for your eyes, if someone else. With that, I'd like to invite the first speaker inside the opening of the
Химикал. Merci.
I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Dear panel, the most important thing in this debate is not whether there will be political backlash, because there will be able to prove why this is not so important, but the fact that people won't be manipulated, mindless animals in a 1984 scenario where they are treated like literal cattle. Right now they're literally being squished out of every bit of mental space they have, just so big corporations and billionaires can make more money off of us. This is not a political debate, this is a top-bottom debate, and we will prove to you why this is. So, I need to prove to you, to win this debate, why people get easily addicted to social media and why this is absolutely detrimental to our society. Firstly, a bit of framing. What would social media become? It would become what it was in like 2013, when it was just a communal space for you and your friends to share photos and laugh with each other, and it will be a way more positive environment than it currently is. Our first argument is that social media addiction is devastating to society, and this act is the only way to stop it. What's the problem? Currently, social media is extremely addictive and people spend tons of time on it, which ruins their lives. Why do they have incentive to go on social media? First mechanism, people get bored, so they go on social media. Like, for example, earlier between the speeches, I didn't have anything to do and I just opened Instagram. Yes?
Don't you think that social media becoming unusable will mean that political opposition movements in authoritarian countries will be much weaker?
I don't, and I will get to that maybe later. Okay, mechanism 2, communications. People go on social media to talk to their friends, chat with them, arrange things, etc. Mechanism 3, trend. You stay out of the loop if you are not on social media, because currently it is viewed as a news outlet and people want to go there to not feel left out. Mechanism 4, procrastination. Instead of working, instead of doing my math homework, I will just, go on social media because I'm looking for other things to do. And ability, mechanism 1, accessibility. It is very easy to go on social media. Everybody has a phone. Like, we just download Instagram or TikTok and you just start scrolling. It's like a free drug, basically. Mechanism 2, habit. When people are bored, the first time they go on social media, and then the second time and onwards, they go there instinctively because this is their now go-to thing to do when they're bored, instead of having artistic thoughts and inspirational ideas. Mechanism 3, dopamine. Dopamine receptors get absolutely fried if you're on social media. Why is this? When dopamine receptors are spiked, aka when you are on social media, because as the act states, social media currently uses strategies and things basically to spike your dopamine receptors. What does this lead to? When dopamine receptors are spiked, they go to new lows to recover. So basically when they go high, they go low afterwards. What this means is that they're basically people just get sad and very sluggish after when their dopamine receptors are low, and basically this leads to lack of motivation, and it's essentially a drug. Okay, mechanism 4, comfort. People use social media for comfort. For example, if I'm sad that my girlfriend broke up with me, I'll go and scroll brain rot for an hour to make myself feel better. Why is this problem so important? Firstly, people become incompetent. They can't concentrate and they can't be productive. When all they do all day scroll, this happens. They get demotivated because of the dopamine. They stop doing sports and physical activity, which leads to worse health. They have no motivation due to dopamine spikes. They do no work for school, no homework. They have no motivation because what social media does is it incentivizes you to only think of short-term gratification, which means that you won't have any incentive to fulfill your long-term goals or even have any long-term goals. They get less sleep because of their addiction. I don't think I need to prove this. Everybody here scrolls on their phone at 11 at night, which leads to various health problems, mental and physical. Okay, solution. Okay, I need to engage with each one of the things in the act. Firstly, having no endless feeds means people will spend a lot less time, as there just won't be more content. Secondly, no dopamine boost means that regular dopamine levels will be had and people will be functional and not slaves. People won't get outraged by content as that will no longer be the content's primary goal. This leads to means that social media is now less of an outlet to like far left and far right ideas, and it means that it's less of an outlet for free speech. Yes?
Yes, it is less of an outlet for free speech, which means that less pro-democracy content will reach users in authoritarian
Okay,
countries.
firstly, what are these authoritarian countries you're talking about? For example, right now in China, no such content reaches them anyways because they're a dictatorship. This is absolutely symmetrical because right now such content doesn't reach them anyway, and this is not the way to do that. And less outlets for hate speech. People are less radicalized. I don't see on my feed a bunch of people from this minority that commits a certain, like, let's say, crime, and now I don't hate them anymore because I don't only see the bad stuff. Okay, social media will become an outlet only for friends to connect. Less sexual assault and predators because they can't connect with their prey because this isn't this kind of platform anymore. People will seek ways to fulfill boredom and turn to things like music, books, etc., which are more fulfilling hobbies that are on a spiritual and physical level. Impacts. We will be a functioning society panel. People will be in better physical shape and in better mental shape. Less unrealistic standards for like beauty. Less people with anxiety and depression disorders, which have been proved to be caused by social media. People will have better hobbies, i.e. reading books, drawing, etc. This means we will have more functioning society members. People will have higher attention spans, which will mean they will get educated better, more easily. Also, like there is this scientist that has a theory that every generation gets smarter than the previous one, and this trend has been true for at least 300 years, but surprise, surprise, with Gen Alpha it wasn't, because they are absolutely cooked and fried from the dopamine. They get
Thank you very much for this amazing speech, with which I would like to invite the second speaker on side opening government. You're here.
Взимам това телефон, защото моя камера е така.
Хорошо. Само да ти го включа, да.
Отключим се.
Just saying, he forgot to say his name. Please say your name because he knew it. I didn't.
Okay, his name was Peter.
Yeah,
Yes.
sorry.
Ключ, разбрах.
And your name?
My name is Gennady.
What?
My name is Thomas. Just, I'll get two phones. Because I'm cheap. Okay, give me just.
Томас.
Да.
Почвай.
Добре, хубаво.
Плак ми се речеш, бро.
Добре, брат, спокойно. Трябваше ли да ти обяснявам импакти на тебе?
Не.
Добре.
Май. Не трябва да тръчвам. Да.
Какво трябва да...
Както го чувстваш.
Това се почва.
Без импакти. Така, 3, my name is Thomas. 3, 2, 1. Dear panel, the opposite side doesn't give us an alternative for how people will actually get rest and what they will turn to it. So, our first argument is practically that when we don't accept these laws, we'll just make people happy and we'll give them something that they can get rest from. So, firstly, what happens on our side and what is the problem in this whole debate? People are usually very tired. They have jobs. In these jobs, they're getting exploited like 8-10 hours a day. They have family. They have to take care for the kids. They have to they are usually very exhausted. If they go to do something fun with their friends and they go something physical, they're exhausted physically. So practically, the bottom line of this whole problem is that people are exhausted from their everyday life, as we all are. Like if you return from the college late at 8 o'clock from the debate club, you're most probably tired. So what happens on our side? We actually give them something that they can get rest from, because this thing must be something non-physical, because you're already physically exhausted, or even if you have not been doing something physical, the fact that you have been doing mental work all day long still exhausted you, and you feel tired even physically. So this means it must not be physical, and it also must be something that doesn't engage your mind so hard. So it must be something that it just entertains you without the need for you to understand it or to keep it up or to keep it in your head, like reading or music. So on our side, we give them this in the rest of social media. So we actually allow them to have time to rest later. We actually allow them to have time to rest. We give them this ability to regain their energy from work. So bottom line, we actually give this more adequate rest that is later needed to work effectively. So what happens on their side? They never provide this alternative. They just only say something like music. But why there is actually no alternative? I explained it must not be physical. So if it's not physical, what it will be? It will be something like reading or etc. or accepting any kind of new information that you must place in your head. For example, if you read a book or if you read something for fun or etc., you usually want to keep it in your head. You don't want to just forget it in 5 to 10 minutes. But if you want to keep it in your head, this usually requires effort. But guess what? You are exhausted, so you don't want to give this effort. So probably this would just make your rest inadequate, and finally it would just lead to you not being able to rest properly, which means that you will later not be able to work effectively. So, just a second. So the bottom line of this is that they don't give us an alternative. I prove why there is not other alternative, and this means that it will just make people inadequate. So, what we have another thing is that on our side we actually give them something fun. Like we give social medias are fun. We give them entertaining content. In the info slide we see that we give them videos or content that is according to their interest, so they actually get fun from it later, 5 minute and a half. So this means that we actually entertainment. They also give some entertainment, but what is the delta here? Our entertainment can be performed everywhere, because you can just sit and watch on your phone using your headphones, but their entertainment, like going out or playing with your friends or playing video games or etc., still doesn't get this thing, because they must be, if it's friends, you have to schedule it. You can schedule it. If it's playing games with friends or on a computer, you don't have this ability everywhere. You can do it on work or in your lunchtime. So we actually give them more opportunity to get this right. So what are the impacts of all this? People get better rest, they're more effectively, they're not mentally and physically exhausted all the time. They live more happy life because they're not constantly tired and annoyed by everything. People around them are feeling better because no one is annoyed at them and they can communicate effectively. What happens from their side? People are just not effective. They're feeling worse because their impacts, because they're exhausted, and etc. So I will proceed now with my refutation at weighing. What's practically their argument? There will be addiction, and when there's addictions, people feel bad and procrastinate. The alternative they give is that we have medias from the 2000s, something like that. So, firstly, I will prove why most of these things are symmetrical. The things that you say about procrastination, habit, you even say that you need a rest, you need something to rest, and you give examples like music and etc. When you need rest, you would most probably engage with that rest. You had a question.
Yes, I had a question. Heroin is also fun and helps us relax. Why don't we all just do heroin? You completely ignore the downside of these things and how they only give you more energy and help you rest in the short term. And also, what you're saying about our arguments is ridiculous. Okay.
Okay, the thing is that we don't get so bad. We don't get so bad downside, because what is the bad downside that you give us? Well, we do it too much. Okay, this was what I was explaining now. You will also do it too much. Why? Because you need this rest. I already proved why you need this rest. You also said that you need this rest, and you will turn just to other things. But when you turn to other things, you think that you won't procrastinate because you won't do it. If you read, like everyone, when they just say, oh, just another page, just another page. When they listen to music, just another song, just another song. This is with everything. Everyone just want to get this more adequate rest. So this means that in both words you procrastinate, there is a habit, and etc. So what is our weighing? We actually prove why there will be a backlash, why people will feel bad about this, why social medias will start to spread propaganda which is bad for the government. We prove why this is bad. I also prove why people would actually feel better and they will be better rested when they have on our side. What they say their impacts is better health and realistic, beautiful standards and some other things. But notice that I proved some of the things that are symmetrical, and still spreading propaganda for the government is worse. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite the second speaker inside of opening opposition case here.
Кажи си името.
Благодаря, I guess.
I will have to go. So
My name is Kirill and... Дай ми таймер, Пешо.
Искаш ли моя?
Дай са.
Да.
Какво се паса?
Чао,
Тяло.
Успех. Успех е лаза четвърти рунд, ще бия.
Ще се пробвам.
Окей.
Това ти ще
Така. Ако не чухте името ми, Кирил.
English.
Yeah, English. 3, 2, 1. Dear panel, we are going to win this debate by providing second unique argument and also rebutting the entire other opposition's case or the government's case. So, what's our main argument? No, what's the problem right now? Social media is a tool for mass manipulation, and it is the easiest way to accomplish that. We are going to get to that in a second. So how do we solve it? So that's our main argument. The Digital Fentanyl Act will stop mass manipulation and reinforce critical thinking. Why is that good? We are going to get that to in a second. Now, why is it such a good tool for spreading manipulation? I think my first speaker already mentioned that. Social media is addictive. When you consume something over and over again, it's a really way to push it to someone because someone to abuse it because they know that you are going to use it. Also, it is also a really easy way to spread information. For example, other ways like TV stations, radios, newspapers, which are other ways to spread information. No. Actually require more effort. So people don't generally visit them. And also, this not is widespread, so it's a really easy way to spread information because one video that you can make in 30 minutes can reach such a big number of people. So why do people, that's the ability. What's the incentive for people to abuse social media? Well, everybody has an agenda. Most people who post stuff on there have an agenda. It's either more followers, which they get rewards for example, for example, more money, more fame, more attention. Companies have an agenda to use social media. If their brand is more globally recognized, people will generally tend to buy their product. For example, Skittles, Nutella, everything that we know, we only know them from social media, their marketing campaigns and so on. Politics, it's also a big point when, for example, candidates try to reach support by, for example, saying I love puppies and stuff on that, so you can vote for Trump or something like that.
So people always have had the agenda to push it. Yes,
Okay, here's where the delta comes from. Governments have lots of ways to manipulate people. TV, newspaper, education system. Democratic movements and free thinkers only have social media in authoritarian states because these are the things they cannot, they have control in. They can use VPNs. Sorry.
quit grasping authoritarian states like a lifeboat. Okay, I'm going to finish my argument. I have a whole rebuttal already for that. Okay, so social media actually gives the ability like never before to push misinformation. So how are people going to get manipulated? Mechanism one, the third point of the act, or the second one, this is the dopamine maxing. That's the example I gave before. By showing puppies next to Trump, you get encouraged by dopamine to actually see this video, so you can get associate Trump with puppies. Puppies something that you like, so you vote for Trump or Obama. So, okay, well, it doesn't matter. So dopamine maxing, it is explained in the video. So what's the second mechanic? Subtle messaging. For example, this is specifically towards companies and stuff like that. It's, for example, making a cooking video, but making the face of the cookie someone into politics, or showing certain products or flags. That's subtle messaging. So because you're not using, just as Thomas said, critical thinking when you're actually working, this is just a rest. So you don't filter out information. Everything goes into your subconscious. Yes.
Can you define better subtle messaging?
What?
Can you define better subtle messaging?
I can, but I don't have time, so I don't. Okay, so what was I saying? Okay, so essentially, my third mechanism, by overwhelming majority. When your entire feed consists of Republican hillbillies, you will probably think that 90% of the world is actually that. So you automatically, because people want to be in a group, because they are social creatures, they would want to act. They would want. Yes.
Why would governments manipulate social media algorithms through puppies when they can literally rig the education system and spew propaganda on TV 24/7?
Because it's easier. Not all, the education system in private schools can be totally different. On TV there is also fact checking. There is independent station. They cannot just rig the entire system. We are actually in a democratic society, and we are not. And when we are not, I'm going to get to that in a second. Okay, so. By majority, people will like to be with the majority because it's safe, they won't get judged, it's overall easier. Why are people likely to get manipulated? Just Thomas said, social media is the thing that doesn't use critical thinking at all. You can just scroll. Everything that you see gets transferred into your subconsciousness as symbols, as ideas, as anything like that. Okay, so mechanics, no critical thinking when watching, impacts. So critical thinking is back. When we are not mindlessly scrolling to something, we get to actively need thinking in order to choose our entertainment. Books, music, stuff like that. So critical thinking is back because naturally less control of the masses, because when people have critical thinking, people will actually choose and filter out information and choose what they actually want to vote for or use, something like that. Now, how does this affect the regular person? When people won't be influenced as easily, when people actively filter information, when people actively have critical thinking, they'll choose better candidates, they'll promote healthier companies, they'll do better stuff. Okay, so just the rebuttal for authoritarian countries. Okay, because this is the main point of Samo apparently, authoritarian governments, there are still mechanisms why for democratic. First of all, we never know why authoritarian government is bad. Nobody specified that. Okay, second, revolts are still valuable even before social media. It's less likely to be tracked when you are working physically, because you can place posters, spread campaigns, word to mouth. Social media is also the opposite in authoritarian governments because it's controlled really tightly and can easily be tracked because everything is online. There are algorithms. So essentially, social media helps the campaigns by spreading propaganda. Okay.
Thank you so much for this amazing speech, with which I'd like to to invite the first speaker.
После не влизай преди да свърши.
I would like to invite the first speaker on the side of post-government to open this
Hello, I'm Daniel, and today I'll start my speech. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so one really important thing in this debate, and what is that? None of the tops explain the actual dangers of regulating this outlaw and actually incorporating it. So let me explain to you what will happen if these regulations come to social media. As in the info slide, it says that you only see people that you follow. You have limited content because it's only shown only what you follow. And what does the average guy follow? He follows his friends. He maybe follows local businessmen or local transports or local politicians. And why that is a bad thing? Because you're living in a small circle like that. You don't see the outside world. And the one thing that our tops are trying to explain about free speech, because when you don't have that, when you don't have the popularity of independent journalism, what happens? Nobody is gonna know or understand what happens in places such as Gaza or anything like that. I'll take questions later. Okay, and also one bad thing about this, that the opposition is trying to tell us that is actually getting worse with social medias, which is clearly not the case, which is propaganda. When you only follow one politician, let's say, for example, with Bulgaria, with the populist uprising party, you follow only one politician from there. You know only their side of the story, you know only their policies, and you only believe them because you don't see anything else, which really limits your critical thinking. And you know, algorithms, their whole purpose, what's the purpose of an algorithm first? It is to know you as best as possible to make income for the social media and companies. It's its whole job to know you. If you're not engaged with critical thinking, of course it's gonna show you mindless scrolling. If you're a critical thinking person, it's gonna show you things that are actually gonna use your brain, which why is exactly short-term gratification such a bad thing? Because most people actually don't mind it. You know, not everyone is a stoic alpha male that only lives on the rocks in the mountain. You know, people want sometimes that instant gratification. That's why throughout our history we have books, we have music, we have nightclubs, we have everything like that, because it's instant gratification. You go, you hook up there. Instant gratification. You know, I don't see the case why it's only social media. It's such a bad thing. And why do you say mindless robots? People, of course, they're people. You know, they can think for themselves. But the algorithm makes it like that because they know the person so well that they can actually help him. You know, if you're trying to find a car on Facebook to buy, you know, the algorithm is gonna help you. It's gonna recommend you actual cars that are affordable for you or good for you. They're not gonna recommend you puppy toys or the local flowery girl that's selling on Valentine's Day. And one thing that you're correct is that corporations will fight back, but also one thing, governments will also fight back because governments also rely on social medias. Most of the politicians use social medias for their voting campaigns, and when you don't have that, it's going to be a lot harder to actually fact check things, and it's going to bring a big problem with fake news, because when we have, let's say, one guy in the whole city that the whole city follows, which has one agenda, you can't fact check them correctly. You have to go on the spot. Let's say he's in a seminar. You have to go, you have to fact check him there. You're going to fact check him, but only 20 people are going to see that you actually fact checked him. And the other social media people that don't follow him don't know that you actually fact checked him. And that is a big problem, because that's gonna only radicalize people, and they're gonna live in just one small bubble, and they're not gonna see the whole picture. And that's gonna be worse for society in general, because actually people are gonna get worse. Now, 1 second, please. Also, one thing that the opposition has said that people's health are gonna generally get worse, and people are not gonna exercise much. People, we have influencers that are with 9 packs, you know, of course that's gonna motivate you. You're like, oh my god, this guy goes to the gym 24/7 and is telling me that when he goes to the gym, he gets girls, money. Of course you're gonna get motivated and you're gonna go and you're gonna actually try to achieve this body. You're gonna get somewhat forced because yes, we have unrealistic body standards in social medias, but why is that exactly a bad thing? Because but you know, in social medias, yes, we have those standards, but we have also people that are saying, yo, these standards are not that bad, because you know, when you go and see people IRL, of course they're not gonna be as good as in social media, but you know that they're actually actively trying to do that. When you're in a one small circle, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I guess I can go work out, but whatever, you know, I would just go to the a local bar and get a girl there, and they don't see anything else that it's as attractive, and that's why people are not gonna have such high standards on themselves. And you know, sometimes it's good for social medias to be a reality escape, and because people, you know, often, as the top said, they're tired. They want to do something that's not such a big burden on them. You know, reading a book these days is something that most people don't do because we're so used with social media, we're so used with getting entertainment from there. When we don't do that, what is gonna happen with Gen Zs? What are they gonna do? They're not gonna magically go read a book. You know, they're not gonna magically do that. They're gonna be in a worse state because you're taking the one thing that's actually bringing them some kind of gratification, some kind of escape from the stressed life. And you know, in general, it's gonna make socializing with the rest of the world a really worse thing, because what are you gonna do? You need to go on trips and talk to people randomly on the street to actually know, you know, internationally have connections, which is, I mean, you were not in the Soviet Union, of course, and yeah, that's basically from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the speech. A reminder to take POIs, and for these POIs to not be over 15 seconds. Saba and yes. Okay, with that, I'd like to invite the first speaker and second opposition.
Влизам ли в камерата? Много ли съм висока?
Влизаш.
Страхотно.
Кой е един човек, който гледа?
Какво?
Кой е един човек, който
Speak in English.
But, okay. Okay.
You're filmed.
1 second. Alright. Okay. So, I'm going to start in 3, 2, 1. Okay. Dear panel, well, we completely agree with what our uppers are saying, but the problem is that this whole thing stems from a very much more fundamental problem. The fact that people do not have psychological autonomy in this situation. Why is this? Well, psychological autonomy is very crucial for us because it allows us to make our own decisions that align with our values, what we think, and our well-being, rather than being manipulated by some kind of external force that is telling us what we believe in. And the reason that this is happening is because we are much more likely to, the only conscious decision that is happening here is when you install this app, and even that might not be fully by your wants, because in this society, when everyone has Instagram, you need Instagram to communicate with people, and when you install it, you inevitably get sucked into this algorithm. So even this first decision to get it is not a fully conscious one. Anyways, after that, like our uppers explained, this algorithm is essentially made to, no, I will take them later. So this algorithm is essentially made to work like a drug. Okay, I would like to actually say something that closing government said when they told us why would social media be way different from hooking up, and also the fact that people like Gen Z will be in a state of panic. Well, okay. It's different from hooking up because this thing is like biologically created. Like humans are biologically created to, have sex. It's a normal thing. You're not gonna get addicted from it so quickly, and it's something that is like natural, happens in nature. Whereas social media algorithms have been manipulated so they can be like maximum. So they can get you to spend the maximum time possible then. Also, the reason people will be in a state of panic, do we not see that this is super similar to withdrawal symptoms like with drugs? Anyways, why won't self-regulation work? Well, the idea of self-regulating each other or voluntary solutions, like let's say tech companies, because they would put things like screen time regulations or stuff like that, but they don't have an incentive to make these things actually working. They would make them so that they're just there, these measures, but they don't actually work because they're built around some kind of profit model that depends on maximizing the amount of time that you spend on these applications, which means they don't have any incentive to make it good for you. Okay, government regulation here is the only solution. That's okay.
Okay, social media is a means to an end to achieve personal autonomy. Please expand this debate outside your cushy Western democracies.
Can you repeat that question?
Okay, social media is a means to an end to achieve your own personal autonomy. It does not limit it in the majority of cases. Please engage with non-democratic countries.
Okay, but it does, it is a huge source of limiting your personal autonomy. Like, sure, there might be other sources, but it's still, because it messes with the way that your brain works. Anyways, I did not very much understand that, so again, I'm going to ignore it. Okay, so because we have such a digital age, our mental health is very directly tied to our psychological autonomy, because we need to make choices that reflect, like I said, our true desires rather than being somebody else's. This act will help us restore people's autonomy because it will help them not be slaves to sort of an algorithm that pushes different kinds of ideas to them. Okay, so in this environment that's very sort of, social media platforms are very pushed, and so is digital content, individuals are basically bombarded with this content that is just curated by an algorithm, and it's designed to elicit like an emotional reaction from them because that's how you get like attention. Okay, and since these platforms are not very neutral spaces, like they're engineered to make you to shape essentially your thoughts, emotions, or decisions without your explicit consent in this, and so you lose sort of your control over your own opinions, and then that leads to what our upper said. Also, since a big issue with the digital addiction is sort of does anyone else have any more POIs before? Yeah, sure.
Wouldn't you rather have your mind manipulated by something you can at least choose what you watch and what you're interested in, rather than being radiated, rather than by TV or the education system?
Okay, but you can't choose it. That's what I've been explaining. Because, okay, you have some kind of content, and if you even so much as interact with it, this content continues getting pushed to you, whereas for TV, also TV is not as addicting. You don't spend as much time on TV. You'd have a lot more, let's face it, like a lot more of the young population spends their time on Instagram than they do watching the news. You're more likely to get your information from there rather than from TV, unless you're like, I don't know, 40 years old. Okay. Right. So also,
Dear panel, please notice that throughout all of history, people are getting hooked on new things, books, radios, music. How is social media any different?
Social media is different because in books, you don't have like a specifically designed algorithm to push specific books to you. Like you're not going to read a book and then this book recommends other books to you that you have to read. Or sorry, no, that sounded really bad, but you know what I mean. So basically, it's not as addicting. Like you're not gonna, it's just in books and different sources of information, you don't have a specifically personally curated algorithm whose only profitable goal is to make you spend more time on it or to push you towards some kind of idea. And you also, reading and other forms of entertainment that are not social media are more likely to push you to do things that are creative, things that are self-developmental, because like for a book you could learn a lot more things, and it's a lot less likely to find false information in like a book than it is, well, like an officially published looked over book. It's a lot less likely than to find it on social media. Like, I'm not saying that you can't, because it's definitely possible, it's just a lot less likely. Okay, I do not have enough time to start another argument, so yeah.
Thank you very much for this amazing speech, with which I'd like to invite the second speaker of side of closing government. Also, just a quick note, you're not obliged to take all of the POIs you offered. One or maximum two is completely fine.
Okay, my name is Christoph and I'm gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and rebuttaling the opposition. Then I'm going to go ahead and complete our arguments and explain why we win. Okay, so going backwards, we started from this CEO. They talk about psychologically autonomy and how the algorithm is like a drug. Okay, I will say it in a ridiculous way, then I'm going to explain it. Not every drug is bad, and I'm going to explain to you this way. Okay, when your head hurts, you go ahead to take painkillers. Okay, they're a drug, but they help you. So why do you take the social media as the bad drug, not the good drug? Also, you say that books don't recommend other books after you finish a book, and so on and so on. Yeah, okay, you just start reading a random author, you like this book, you go on with another one, and so on, and you continue to get addicted with some author or some kind of books. Or you start okay, never mind. They told us also that TV is not addicting, which is which is a big lie. Why do you think I would when they shut off Instagram, I would not go home and just play the fucking TV? I would watch a comedy that I've watched 16 times before, but that I just go and watch it because I don't have anything else to do. Which also leads us to the question that to the statement that they make, that social media is not good for you because it's made for you. How is that bad? Okay, I'll give you a certain situation. I, for example, go as a student and live alone, so I see on internet how I could cook myself a meal. I mean, yes, you can find it yourself, but it will be way easier. Also, you won't start going to the gym, as we said, and you just see a video recommending how to start, what exercise to do, and so on, which helps you. It's not always a bad thing for you, and it's a personal choice if it's addictive or not. As I said, TV can also be addictive. Your question?
Yeah, social media is like no drug before it amplifies your dopamine 100-fold, and is one of those drugs that are definitely bad.
Yes, I will get to that dopamine later. I have to talk about the dopamine, don't worry. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to go straight to the dopamine act. All these things that we've said about the dopamine, yes, they are right, but why is it for sure a bad thing that your dopamine is being cured and being lowered? Okay. My dopamine is being lowered because I'm always sitting on social media. Today we're going to sit in rooms for 12 hours straight debating, which also lowers our dopamine. But why we do it? Because we educate ourselves, we entertain ourselves, and we are happy that we do this because it entertains us and helps us. So why is social media any different than that? Because it's all the grandmas saying it ruins our life and so on, which leads us to another statements that they made. Sexual assault going down. No, that's absurd. Why? Because if I'm psychotic enough to want to assault someone, I would probably find a way to find their Instagram, their TikTok or so, and just go search them, follow them, and wow, boom, I have access to them texting, which also leads us to the comfort that they were talking about. And give an example with my girlfriend work with me, so what do I do? I get on TikTok and spend time there. Okay, would you rather go on TikTok and spend time later? Would you rather go on TikTok and spend time, like 2 hours in bed? Would you like going outside, getting drunk, starting screaming, getting in trouble, really, or going out with your car and crashing out there because you're depressed. No, I would rather go on and watch TikTok for a full day, which leads to our impact, which is that the comfort is in a way better in TikTok or any social media than just going ahead and doing something ridiculous or dangerous and so on, which they, by the way, backfire themselves, but I'm not gonna get to that. Your question?
I was going to say, the poison is in the dose. If I drink an entire bottle of paracetamol, something will probably happen to me. And most people don't consume social media in moderation. Most people consume it in large doses.
Okay, but why when stopping and shutting off social media would this will stop? Okay, we shut off every social media, and the guy that spends 12 hours at home just goes on and watches TV all day. So what does that mean? What does that do? Lazy people will continue to live on and will be lazy. You can't just shut off social media and expect everything to be better. Everyone gets fit, everyone gets social life, and so on. Which leads us to another thing that they said. I don't know who said it, but social media will again be a platform, or Instagram, for etc. will be a platform where you can just chat with your friends. Okay, if that is the case, that's the thing you're searching for. There are social medias made just for texting, not watching feed or something. You can just go text your friends or go text them through messages and find them and do whatever you want. No, you're not obligated to go on Instagram, text them, they do not answer you. So what do? You go and watch videos for 2 hours straight because you think that's the best thing you could do. Also, that they say that very big part of the feed is useless and is not actually helping us, it's just rotting us, which I explained that I do not think is reasonable to say, because as I said, social media has very useful videos and the ability to reach large group of people to a way or another, to promote something, to help them, or giving them advice if you even want to, which is I think is not bad for our society. But if you think that, I will take it. Also, it becomes a habit. Okay, so my habit, as an example, if my habit is going out to play basketball, I still have a chance to break a leg outside, which is the same. It's not very good, rather than sitting home and watching TikTok all day. The things they've said about the dopamine, I will get back to the dopamine. Okay, the dopamine gets lower because we watch feed all day videos. Okay, so I cannot. You will remove my ability to get home from a practice or work and just watch for 30 minutes to entertain myself, to relieve a bit. You're just going to remove all that just because 5% of people are addictive and live a lazy life. Unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this amazing speech, with which I'd like to invite the second speaker, Dautivai, on the side of opposing opposition, to close this debate. Here.
Is my...
No.
No. You actually do. You actually.
Yeah,
do.
but your face.
Yeah, but
fix it up a bit, like Sama.
yeah. Wait, let me.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Tilt it up.
I'm trying. It can't
No,
tilt.
tilt it.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, so 3, 2, 1, start. Okay, so my name is Ilya, and today, dear panel, I will be this debate closing speech, and mainly I will focus on rebuttals and say why closing opposition wins this debate. Okay, so first of all, let's start with opening government and what Sava said. if this act is passed, there will be a lot of backlash and people will be very unhappy and mad. There will be a lot of protests. Why? People will need to search up new accounts, new people, and you will get bored of the content, and different corporations will try to organize protests. Okay, so first of all, social media will about the people would need to search up new accounts. Okay, so what this means is that social media will become a lot more mindful and engaging. Why? You will be encouraged to talk to new people with different interests. So you can find new people later on social media. This will make you more social, have more friends, and more outgoing, which means that you will have more opportunities for the future. You will have new interests and hobbies, you will find new people, and you will also be more happy because we're social animals and we get happiness from being social, from talking and interacting with each other. Also, you said that, well, people will get bored from social media. Well, that's actually a good thing. Why? Well, people are not bored enough. This means that we do not have peace in our minds. We're constantly bombarded with different information, with brain rot, with serious. One TikTok is some serious political issue that we really care about. The next one is skibidi toilet, and our mind being constantly bombarded with this does not give us the peace that we need to create, to think of new ideas, to be focused at work, at school, or whatever, or wherever we are. We are constantly worried. If we are bored, we will create more, go out more, be much calmer, and much more focused on our stuff later. Also, Sava told us that there will be a lot of protests and people will be unhappy. First of all, what about all of the people that are unhappy with the current social media situation? Yeah, what about all of the people that are unhappy with the current social media situation? What about the parents that are annoyed that their kid, that an 8-year-old kid scrolls on Instagram 12 hours a day and has absolutely no future? What about those people? Are they mad? Yes, and you do not specify or tell me why this protest why this specific protest is unique or is gonna affect the world in a much larger capacity than any other protest, because the government constantly makes controversial decisions. The people cannot be always perfectly happy, but and such a positive push, which my first speaker said why it is actually a good thing. It is difficult, but it is good for us. And people will always be unhappy, and you, Sava, did not specify why this protest is any unique or of any importance when considering all of the other protests. After this, okay, so now Thomas. Thomas said that, well, people are tired from everyday life, and social media will give you rest. It will give you better rest than everything else, and that rest should not be physical, and that there's no alternative, and we give you something fun. Okay, so first of all, you do not feel good while scrolling or after, or specifically after scrolling. You feel exhausted, useless, brain fried. You forget the last 5 reels you've watched. You only remember 2, and also fentanyl, weed, drugs, they all give you rest, but that doesn't mean that they're good. They have obviously bad side effects that opening opposition and closing opposition, my first speaker, said. Because they have bad side effects, like social media has worse, you have worse attention, you feel worse, you have worse eyesight, you don't want to socialize as much, you're inactive, and etc. So therefore, sure, it gives you rest, but it doesn't mean that this rest is good. Also, a book before bed will give me much better rest than me staying until 3 a.m. and then waking up like. So Thomas told us that because we use social media, we'll be more energized on the next day. But tell me how much of you have gone to bed at like 3 a.m. and then felt super well the next day after scrolling for 6 hours before bed. It doesn't work that way. You do not get rest. You get rest only at this specific moment while you're scrolling, not afterwards. But let's say that opening government is right and rest should be physical. Well, what about movies, music, talking with friends, talking with loved ones? There's so much other more productive and better things to do rather than scroll on social media. So saying that social media is good rest is just not true.
Feel like?
No. Okay, also he told us that social media is fun, but did not specify why it is exceptionally fun or exceptionally better than any other fun activities. Well, I will tell you why it is not, because social media has a lot of bad side effects, and you do not feel good afterwards, and it has a very negative effect on your life, as we explained a million times. No. Okay, so now with closing government, the first speaker mainly focused on that our social media platform is going to be this bubble where we only see things that are very limited. But this bubble already exists. If I follow only politicians from Възраждане or Продължаваме промяната, I'm only gonna see politicians from Възраждане and or Продължаваме промяната. I'm not gonna it's not like one reel I'm gonna see Kirill Petkov and then the next reel I'm gonna see Kopeikin. No, it doesn't work that way. It already pushes the things, the people who we follow and the content that we like. So it's the same in both worlds. Also, you talked about gym motivation, and you talked about sure there are unrealistic body standards, but there are also people that specify about those body standards. Well, a lot of people, like probably only 0.1% of people who actually listen to this. Why? Because it is. Because they're seen as bad people, they're seen as demotivating. They're, and we don't like realistic stuff. You know, we all want to look like The Rock after 2 weeks of ab workouts. You know, it will not work this way.
Okay, thank you so much for the speech. Thank you for this debate as a whole. Shake your hands, go outside, and stay close until we finish with the call.